everyone, and welcome back to What's Your Mess? Mental, Emotional, Social Status of Life. I am your host, Tracey D. Armstrong, and we are here again today with another special guest. And we have a guest that wants to share her experiences that have shaped her life. Remember, this podcast is not just about stories, but it's about triumphs and resilience and strength that these guests have shown to overcome their M.E.S.S. So let's introduce our first guest today. Go ahead and tell everyone who you are.
Hi, my name is Jazmyne Boatman. I am a certified life coach. I help in two avenues with corporate and youth, teaching social emotional intelligence and transformative coaching for women. Um, Basically, being a success strategist and teaching them how to love the life they live by making the big pivot.
Oh, wow. I love it because that is my niche, social and emotional intelligence, especially to the youth. But I know that you haven't always been at this level and doing the coaching and doing the transformation of lives. Can you tell everyone a little bit about your mess and what you have gone through?
Uh, Overall, growing up, being an only child, a lot of people's perception is that you have everything. And that's pretty much where I started people pleasing and trying to show everyone I wasn't, what they thought I was. And along the way between people pleasing, trauma, losing, my apartment had caught on fire. I lost everything. I didn't have renter's insurance. So between that, losing family members, trying to navigate going to college, just the stress and trauma of the years really got to me to where I felt like a hamster on a wheel and I wasn't getting nowhere fast. And a lot of people, they don't know that you're going through things, especially when you're the happy, funny friend, which it was me. So people don't perceive you, but they didn't know that I had, had a face on. Before I get to your house and walk inside and be the bubbly friend, like I'm just down in the inside. And I pretty much was a prisoner in my mind for so long that I didn't want to display that to the world. So I kept what I was going through to myself and I just never told nobody until one day I couldn't do it anymore.
Wow, you say you were like a hamster on the wheel. That's you pretty much going in circles. And you really unpacked a lot right there. I want to go back to, like you said, you were the only child, and people had this assumption about only children. And then you were a people pleaser also. Because like I feel that going into the room and you're the life of the party. But before that, you had to pretty much pull yourself together. So tell everyone, how did that affect you mentally? Like all of those parts that you just talked about.
Mentally, it was draining, but also it's you you spend most of your time with yourself, right? So you know what you think about yourself, you know how you feel about yourself. And in order for me to feel better, it was easier to keep on a face so that I could navigate through the world because this ugliness inside of me, I didn't want it to spill over onto someone else. And so mentally, it was draining, but I was able to keep it up for so many years that I mean, at a point in time, I just thought this is supposed to be my life. Like, I'm supposed to be going through bad things. I'm supposed to be hurt. I'm supposed to be everybody's punching bag. I thought that that was it for me.
Wow. You said for so many years you thought that's just how it was supposed to be. Wow. And you just said, you felt like you were supposed to be hurt. You were supposed to be someone's punching bag. Like emotionally, how did that affect you? How did that impact your life?
I would say it affected my life at home. So once you take the mask off and you go home and you sit with those emotions, you just you just spiral out of control. Like you just sit there and you're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it to where it's just better to be around the people you love, because for a second you forget about it, but when you go back home is right when it comes back. And that's pretty much how it was for me, just draining at home, draining at home, sad at home. And it's crazy to think because I wasn't telling anybody. So I'm just walking around with that on my heart. It was pretty heavy. And like I said, I just thought this was it. So I thought it was normal at a time.
And I'm listening to what you're saying, and not to dive too deep, and you can say no too deep, but you're saying that when you went home, it's when more of the emotional toll took a place on your life. But like, because I'm going to ask you about your social life, and it sounds like when you were social, you were socially out. You were doing your thing. You had that face on, but at home is where the emotional toll took place. Was there anything particular at home that was causing the emotion, or was it just the being at home and being the only one? Was it loneliness or what?
Being the only one. So I live alone. So
Okay.
I would be at home by myself. And so like I said, when what you think of yourself and how you know yourself, basically it was just a pity party when I got home. And at that point it was just like I'm sitting there like this is supposed to happen to me. I guess this is my life. Like I'm just gonna live this life and just die and just like that's just pretty much how I was thinking. But when you live alone, of course, there's nobody at home to talk to about your day. There, I mean, yeah, you have friends and stuff like that, but I actually like to sit in silence because I am my only child. Like that's either silence is where I'm sad or where I flourish. Like those are just the two strong points for me. But yeah, so that's what was going on at home is being alone and being in my own thoughts.
Oh yeah, got it. Oh, being alone with your own thoughts. That's really a struggle for a lot of people sometimes, because depending on what your thoughts are, like you said, sometimes your silence can bring your sadness, but then sometimes your silence is where you thrive because now your thoughts. So depending on which thoughts you're having, depending on which way your emotions went, that is, and I'm sure that our audience and some people in our audience can really resonate with that. Now, with all of that, how did it affect you socially? Because, like you said, alone, you were dealing with your thoughts and being alone. But with people, you were good? Or how did that work?
Yeah, I was fine. So I mean, in the back of my mind, the negative voice is always there, right? But with friends, you're able to put on a face, and so that's what I did for so many years. So being the life of the party, everybody want to know where I'm going, where I am. It's easy to have fun. You're gonna have a good time, like not just literally partying, but a picnic, an event, a baby shower, whatever type of event it may be. But socially, I was fine because it let me get out of my mind and
Hmm.
like get into reality of being with people and sharing experiences.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you. You could say too far. Did you feel like you were being fake?
Yeah, I had to have a talk with myself before I started. Let's say I'm going to your house and I'm having a moment, and then I'm knocking on your door, and I'm just like, okay, like as soon as Tracey opens the door, and then you open the door, I'm like, hey, and that's just, and you don't know what's going on, but I just had a moment before you open the door, and that's pretty much how it was for years.
Okay, I feel you. I completely, I feel you. And as far as your status of life, because I'm listening, and you sound like you looked like you had it all together. And your status of life, did this affect your status of life in any type of way?
Um, I think I just have a keep going spirit. So regardless if the car is on fire, the house is on fire, like you still have to keep going. So in my mind, I may grieve for a few minutes, but the next day. You know, that life still goes on. So I think that's the only thing that I do know is that I got to get up every day. Like, regardless of how I'm feeling, I have to get up. So I think that part, knowing that life goes on, you can't really you can stay in your emotions for a little bit, but you still got to go to work. You still have obligations, you still have things to do. So I didn't fall out in that aspect, but when at the end of the day is when it was, time to digress and, at home. But other than that, no.
Okay, but it did because like you just said, once you got home at the end of
At
the
that point.
day, it was like,
Right.
okay, I'm back by myself, and you started to those feelings. Um, but I do want to go back to another thing you said at the very beginning. You mentioned how you lost everything. Could you tell us a little bit about that? You said there was a fire.
Yes. So basically I had started working at a job. This was 2018. And I live in California and the job was in Pennsylvania. So way across on the other side. Um First week my apartment catches on fire and I had no renter's insurance. I mean, I lived in some like decent apartments. It was nothing but older people there. Like, it was fine. Well, the neighbor downstairs lit a candle. He did all this and that. 3 units end up catching fire. And so I lost everything. I had no renter's insurance. I only had the clothes in my suitcase in Pennsylvania. So could imagine you're all the way across the US and somebody calls you. And the thing that made me the most mad, I mean, I'm mad, of course, about the fire, but I had washed all my clothes and hung them up before I left. And that was the only thing I could think about. Like, who does that? Sometimes you be like, oh, I'm gonna get back to it. Like, no, I like finally just did everything, lining my shoes up, everything. And so I'm just like, wow, like, oh,
Yeah,
so
like that was just a waste of time. And oh my gosh, yes.
leading up to the flight and everything. So I lost everything. During that time, I was working a lot, like 30 days in a row type working. Like, I was doing a lot of work, working hard for all my stuff. And to just come back home with the clothes on my back was just devastating. Like, yeah, I was really on the brink at that point. And honestly, the only thing that really got me through it is God. Like, that's the only thing, because just to like have nothing, like, people don't really understand. And I mean, yeah, even when you have insurance and you lose sentiments, either way, a loss is a loss, however you look at it. And it was humbling. It definitely taught me not to value earthly things, and that you can get it again. You can't get another life. So I'm grateful I wasn't there and, nothing happened to me. But it took a very long time to get to this point. I will say that, because I was mad every day. Every day I wake up like, man, that man set my house on fire every day before work. I'm getting now staying with a friend.
Mm,
So just coming home, coming back to not having nowhere to stay. I think they could give me an apartment for like 30 days.
wow.
Yes.
I can't even imagine. Like that one I can't. I can say, oh, I can imagine. No. You said it was humbling. I'm thinking about, yeah, I'd be like, ooh. And you said God is the only thing. So let's go there. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you came out of like your emotional, your loneliness, your not having anything. Like I'm listening to all of these things that have happened that I'm sure listeners can probably relate to. How did you do it? How did you come out?
Um, like, back to the hamster on the wheel. Just one day I was just like raging at this point, because I'm getting nowhere fast. I feel like I'm taking the best route or the best choice and everything is not working and I'm not happy. And just one day it just exploded. I was working at a job and they had this patio on the third floor, and across the street was this old building. It was probably like 60 years old. They were breaking it down. And so it was like 20, 15, 20 men every day breaking it down, breaking it down. And every day I was sitting on that patio, I started to internalize what they were doing, and it was breaking down to build back up. And just by watching the men, like if you saw the building, you'll just, well, it was just a building. But for me, it was just the start to a new beginning. And every day I just sat there and watched them. And that's just how I came out of it slowly.
Breaking it down to build anew. So, if there's anyone that's listening that may be going through something similar, either because I know several, and I'll say students because I do teach also, I know several students that go through that emotion of the loneliness and the sadness and those thoughts in their minds that make them feel whatever they feel. And then I do know people also that have lost everything and have to start back over. How would you, what would you tell them so to help them get through their situation?
What I would tell them is, first, you have to be ready. So that's why I like to work with people that are ready, because for a while you're going to be going back and forth with yourself and your emotions. So first and foremost, be ready to receive the change, and know that like what you're going through is not, it's temporary. It's not going to last forever. You won't be there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever you're telling yourself, it's all temporary. So what I created is a module called CPG, and it stands for conditioning, practice, and game day. And I created this during the time of breaking down to build up. And that's what this model is all about. So when you think of sports, conditioning, they're making you run, sweating it out, basically getting you back to good health. And parallel to my conditioning is unlearning the negativity, unlearning what somebody told you, unlearning the thoughts that you have about yourself, and just really cleansing your body. So that's the conditioning period. For practice is implementing new mindset shifts, being emotionally aware of who you are and how you feel, because you can't be of service to anybody if you're not of service to yourself. So that is where the practice comes in. And game day is ultimately your transformation, executing the life you want to live, putting yourself first, and coming with that good emotional hygiene at the end.
Yeah, CPG. Now, if someone wanted to get that or be a part of it, do you have classes? Do you coach? Tell them how they could connect with you with that.
Yes. So I do one-on-one transformative coaching, and then I also do workshops for corporate, youth, and nonprofits. And so I actually have a website. It's allthingscoaching.co. And that's where you can locate me there. It has the phone number and email to follow up with me.
Allthingscoaching.co.
.co. Yes.
Okay. Allthingscoaching.co. I will most definitely make sure I put this. So, hey guys, it'll be at the end of this video. So, make sure you check that out. Okay. And you do one on one coaching. So, with the so you do one on one coaching and then you also do like corporate coaching, things like that with groups. And
Yeah,
with that,
workshops.
so it's a module where they go through it. Do they go through it like with videos, or do they go through it like where you're like working with them through Zooms, virtually? How does that
It's
work?
on site, in person workshop, and it's interactive. So you will be participating. It just won't be me talking. And it's an interactive workshop, and we just go over social emotional intelligence in depth, and how you can cleanse yourself and have proper emotional hygiene, whether it's for youth or in the workplace or personal.
Okay, awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because I like the way you said your emotional hygiene. Never thought about it like that because we think about personal hygiene and things like that, but emotional hygiene is actually just as important as your personal hygiene. Most definitely. Now, are there any last words of encouragement that you would like to leave with the audience?
Nothing is gonna last forever. That's my main theme, because I know with the dark days. It seems like it's gonna be forever. You're never gonna get through. And once you come to the other side of just having happiness and gratitude, you'll feel so much better. You're gonna almost forget your old life. What I did make the big shift of changing, of course, I'll say music, positive television. Just change your thoughts overall by connecting to positive things. That's the only way. Well, that the best way. I won't say only, but that's the best way to move forward. Is just be around positive people. Somebody calls you and they call in to dump all the negative stuff. Get off the phone. Hang up.
That's a
Hang
good one. That's a good one.
up. But overall, be around positive people, listen to positive things, affirmations, create a gratitude list. These are just some things that help me along the way. And the gratitude list is probably the best bet because it allows you to see your life written down on paper and show you the good things that are happening for you and around you.
Mhm. Sometimes some people are so focused on the negative things around them that they don't realize all of the good things that are happening. That's good. Create a gratitude list. All of those things that you just said, surround yourself with positive people, positive energy. Do the gratitude list. Listen to positive music. Hang up the phone. Get off of social media when it's all negative. And yes, most definitely. But I want to thank you, Miss Jazmyne, for your time, for your story, and for letting the audience know how they can transform their lives. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
No problem. So, as we wrap up another episode of What's Your Mess, I want to leave you with this powerful quote to carry with you in your hearts. If you want to be sad, keep thinking about the past. If you want to be anxious or worried, keep thinking about the future. But if you want to be happy, focus on the present day and be grateful for what you have. Thank you again for watching. What's Your Mess? This is Tracey D. Armstrong. Have a good one, y'all.